Welcome, folks. This is Tom O'Brien of TFNN. We're broadcasting live today from the Hard Asset Show, beautiful San Francisco. Our guest today, Ross Orr. Ross has been on TFNN many times. Ross is the CEO, President of Bac-Tech Environmental.
Soon to be.
Soon to be.
Yes.
That's a beautiful thing. Welcome back to TFNN.
Thanks. Good to be here.
So tell us, Bac-Tech. So I know you have a lot of stuff happening. Let's start at the beginning.
Start at the beginning. All right. Bioleaching, or bacterial oxidation.
Yes.
Interchangeable. Bugs eating rocks. All right.
Okay.
And doing it in an environmental fashion so that you don't send materials to smelters and roasters.
Yeah.
Our technology started at King's College in London, England back in 1988. Migrated to Australia. I found the technology in the mid-90s and brought it to Canada. And we are now at a stage where we're actually applying the technology for gold and copper liberation, but also for environmental cleanup of historic mine tailings.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So when you say that, we have a rock, and then in the middle of the rock, of course, you get the mineral that you want out, and the bacteria goes in and eats everything around it.
You've got a I guess you'd call it a matrix of sulfur, iron, arsenic, and gold.
Okay.
And the gold is trapped inside of that matrix. The bacteria, all they do is they want the sulfur. That's how they derive their energy, their food. And as a result of them doing that, you spin off the irons. And then fortunately, just by nature, the arsenic and the iron band together and become a benign, environmentally stable end product that is US EPA approved. Sorry, I shouldn't wave like that. For landfillable for future containment.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're probably the only company in the world that actually goes out looking for arsenic. There aren't many people that can say that.
Because you need that.
Well, no one wants it. It's toxic. It's nasty. Unfortunately it's a big byproduct in mining, especially the deeper you go in the ground. And, the mines aren't being found on surface anymore.
Right.
So what happens is the arsenic ends up in these tailings, and eventually, as the sulfides oxidize, they create an acid, and they take that arsenic and copper and lead or whatever into water systems, into creeks and rivers. So historically, engineering companies have said to a government, "We'll pay us $40 million, we'll clean up your problem."
Right.
What we're doing is, and we did this recently with the province of Manitoba, we said, "Look, we don't want your money. We'll fix it, but we want the gold."
Right.
And we'll solve your problem, which is the arsenic that's leaching out into the water supply. So it's a different approach.
Nice.
And actually, we're trying to convince them to be a partner and sort of set a public-private partnership.
That's right.
Because most governments end up with the problems at the end of the day.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Everyone else is gone, the government's still there.
Exactly. They've gone bankrupt and said, "Here, you take the keys and we're out of here."
That's right.
So, yeah.
So now tell us, I know we're going to split into two companies.
We are,
right?
yeah. It's a bit confusing, but hopefully in 2 weeks it won't be.
Yeah.
The shares you have today, as an example, if you had 10,000 shares of Bac-Tech, you're going to get 10,000 shares of what is called REB Gold, R-E-B, which happens to stand for rock-eating bacteria. Okay. Because it's hard to find a novel name these days. And that's going to be run by a guy named Mark Burridge, who is past Barrick. He's worked with Hatch. He's worked with Merrill Lynch. Good guy, a mine builder. Yes. And his mandate is to continue what Bac-Tech was doing, acquiring
arsenic.
Well,
basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in the ground, mining projects. And we're looking at a number of things: Armenia, Chile, Mexico. And I don't want to be the boy who cries wolf, but he's going to do it.
Okay.
I'm very confident of that. We're going to dividend out shares on a 1-for-5 basis in a new company called Bac-Tech Environmental Corporation, which I'm going to run. Okay. And like I said, we're looking at stuff in Manitoba and Armenia, where I think there's something like 600 million tons of Russian tailings.
And so this is going to be almost an environmental company versus a mining company, which is really unique.
Well, yeah, because you couldn't put the two investors in the same company.
Right.
They don't necessarily like each other very much.
Okay.
So we decided that we'd separate the two, and it gives investors the opportunity to keep both, which is what I'm going to do, because I can see how you could make money in both. Sure. But if you're really that adamant that mining is not a good thing, then sell your mining shares.
And in that aspect, I guess what you definitely have is that you have a whole other community that can only invest in it.
Oh, absolutely,
right?
Absolutely, yeah. There's the Europeans have a lot of clean tech funds, and they invest heavily in solar and wind and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to showing this to them in a couple of weeks when the actual separation takes place. But it's been confusing for people, and I understand why. So hopefully it'll all be separated and done within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you say you got Manitoba, we have places in Europe. So the goal of the environmental is to go into where mining has already taken place and it's got to be cleaned up, basically.
Right. And again, in Armenia, it's the government we're talking to as well.
Yes.
The Russians were there for almost 100 years. And let's face it, when the guy that was running the mine was told he needed to produce so many tons of lead or copper,
sure,
he was going to do that any way he could do if he wanted to keep his head attached to his body.
Right.
So there's a lot of metal in these tailings, and again, the Armenian government doesn't have any money. So our proposal is, let us take it on. Let us clean it up, but we want the metal.
I see, okay. So you make the tailings clean, right? And inside those tailings, and in particular, gold, it's 1,300 now, but the reality is gold was 300, 500 forever.
Yep.
So there could be a little more gold in those tailings than people think, too.
Absolutely. Well, we wouldn't be having this conversation 5, 6 years ago, because gold at $500 or zinc at, 50 cents.
Versus 80 cents and
$1.
$1,300.
Exactly.
Right.
So there's now true value, and I hope your charts tell you that the mining price, the metal prices are going to stay strong for a long time, and I think they are with China and India and whatnot. It's a very viable business, and I'm really looking forward to rolling it out. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, we look forward to going forward. And folks, you can come over to our website at tfnn.com. You can see the Bac-Tech banner right there. Just hit that banner. You can follow Ross, follow Bac-Tech. We appreciate you being here. Always remember, folks, whatever you think about, you bring about. Whatever you focus on goes. Ross, thanks so much, man.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks, man.